developer for the city. And then it talks about what they do as a couple and how they're involved in their communities. And then if you look below, it says how they use the site. They look for numbers, analysis, and data visualizations that they can grab and paste into their work. And so these are active, they're involved in their nonprofit government sectors. And then they also spend time together discussing politics and community information too. And then jump down to Carol Wittenberg. She is our engaged citizen. And she is not involved in government or nonprofit work, but as a volunteer in these sectors. And what she's doing is using the BHKN to keep up with local news and to access city council minutes because she likes getting her information in one place. And then she's one of those who sends out that information to people she knows. We talk about this in our social networking groups, that there's the content aggregator who not only finds it, but then she pushes it out to everybody else she can think of. And Myron, her husband, is also involved, and he's tracking the city budget on the Black Hills Knowledge Network. Okay, Carlos Alvarez is a prospective resident visitor. And this guy reminds me of a patron that Rebecca had a conversation with, I think last fall or last summer. And this person was going to move to the community and wanted some information about the Black Hills area. And she sent the link on the Black Hills Knowledge Network, and she got a reply back that this was exactly what this person was looking for. And so this is the same sort of situation. Carlos wants to move here, but he wants some neutral information on the community. He doesn't want a site that has a commercial interest. And he wants data on the quality of life in Rapid City. And then Karen, his spouse, wants some economic and jobs data for Rapid City. And then finally we have Cheryl Highmore. She's the small community librarian. And who can identify with Cheryl Highmore? Yeah, maybe Rhea, yeah. And what she wants to do is get information about her community out to the community, but she can't do it from her own library's website. She doesn't have access to it. So she uses the Black Hills Knowledge Network to make sure her community is informed and to play that role. And because she doesn't know programming like HTML, she's able to use the forms on the Black Hills Knowledge Network and make this possible for her community. Okay, so we outlined who our typical users were, and do you have any comments on those folks, or do you think we covered the people who use our site, the big groups of people who use our site? Did we get every category? In that case, we'll move on to the consultant tasks and features list. So this is what we're asking the consultant to do for us, and we're just going to go through this and discuss one by one. Refine our 12-month strategic plan for technology. And we're in the process of this now. I don't believe it's complete at this point, though.
No.
Improve the look, functionality, and navigability of the site, and we talked about this earlier. We want to put a rotating image on the homepage, for example. And we want to develop a standard way that all the sites can add directories and archival information to their sites and to where they are linked on the sites. And then we want to put community engagement functions like surveys and polls, and be able to subscribe with an RSS feed to updates on the site. And a link directly to giveblackhills.com. And I believe, Eric, how many of the communities are already linked with their nonprofits? I think you did some work on.
We've been trying to build that. Some are, not everyone yet.
Oh, okay.
When you go to the contribute, you want to show,
Sure.
if you go to
That's
Spearfish. So we've been working to fill out some of this left-hand margin information. So if you go to contribute, and if we haven't done it in your community, this is pretty easy to do. You can look at it. GiveBlackHills.org is a site created by the Black Hills Area Community Foundation that provides a profile of every nonprofit that wants to be part of the project. You don't have to pay anything. It's an online giving resource. And I think there are close to 130 nonprofits from the Black Hills who have put up a profile, and it gives you all the information you want about that organization, not only what its programs are, but all its financial information, its governance information. So if you're a potential donor, you can go right there, get all the information you want. One click, you can make a contribution. So we've taken, each one of those has a profile in Give Black Hills. So we've taken all those organizations, searched for Spearfish, pulled them out, put them here, and created a hyperlink. So you want to click on the link, and that will take you right into that organization's profile page on GiveBlackHills.org. And so you can see what these profiles look like. It gives the mission, the success stories. They can load photos and videos, statement. There's their programs, events, governance, financials, documents, and donate now. So you can give right now to that organization. So we're hoping this will really help our local nonprofits and also encourage giving, because donors will know where they can get all the good, relevant, credible information about nonprofits. And if there's a nonprofit in your community that's not on GiveBlackHills.org, you can still put them in the listing, link directly to their website if you want, or encourage them to get their profile up there so that they can benefit from this.
Volunteer opportunities also, in addition to contribute. You want to make it easy to use the site and find where you can volunteer in your community. Widgets are also listed, and options for users to become certified content providers. This goes back to what we heard from the focus groups, where finding an outlet for people who want to add to the site is important.
But one of the things we're in keeping with what our site is about, relevant, credible, useful information, we're not just going to open it up to anyone who wants to blog on our site. It really will be, people will have to apply to be content providers, and they'll have to be, sort of either representing an organization, if they're representing the Y or something like that, and want to be able to post information. Those are the kind of people that will certify. And even then, once their content goes up, the content editor will still have to approve it before it goes posted.
And then inclusion of Facebook-based commenting function. We want to put a way for people to make comments that then post to the Facebook wall also.
So that's kind of a halfway. We want people to have a conversation about this material, but we don't want to open it up and have it become sort of a wide open free for all blogging site.
It's just another way to share the information, not necessarily to be putting subjective information.
Opine on
Yeah.
everything. Yeah. Number 4, facilitate content generation by local librarians. This goes back to Carol in the user profiles, and finding a way for her to contribute to the site that doesn't take programming knowledge such as HTML. And also, because we have so many hands in this project, all the people sitting in here, for example, are content contributors, we want to find a way to allow that access for everybody, but still have some features on the site that are similar, so that the user, no matter what site they're on, Whitewood, Rapid City, Sturgis, finds common elements and is able to navigate each site.
And one of the things, I know, working on the content frequently, and I'm sure all of you who put up content do, that there's just frustrating things about different content types. For example, when I'm working on the main pages, it's not easy to add a photo. You can add a photo, but you can't control it very well. And it would be easy to add a box to that content type that would allow us to add a photo and have it display appropriately. I know we had a problem with photos that got posted, but they went in really huge and kind of blew up all over the site. And there's no reason that we can't make that easy for us as content posters so that we don't have to worry about sizing the photograph and where it's going to be positioned and all that kind of stuff.
I think we had to put that when we took it down, put it online, repositioned it, and then put it back up. But why can't not just do it right from the site?
Right.
And those
So thank you. I haven't looked at it. That's the church. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to, if you have a few minutes after the meeting, we can show you what ended up happening. Number 5, help us explore ways to include automatic information updating. And what we want to do is get what's out there from Census, from Reference USA, from paid databases and other sources that are available for our communities and have them automatically feed and update into the site. And that way it saves us time and still gives the user the features of the site that help them find the information, such as federated searching and our layout. Number 6, guide our decision-making process on software integration. And we want to find a way to enhance the federated search further and include the visuals and open source archiving software, and PastPerfect, which is used as an archiving software but used by a lot of the Deadwood historical societies. I know the Journey uses that software product. So how can we get that software product to appear in our search results and integrate with what we're using, just Content Meeting? And I'm just jotting down to see if there's anything else in number 6. We want to look at other sources to archive besides Content DM, and maybe find a cheaper alternative and something that works better for us and is more customizable for us. Number 7, guide decision-making on long-term costs and consequences of becoming a storage repository, and this is due to the cost of storage and the large amounts of data that we do store. And 8, develop a sitemap that automatically updates. And this is for the user who wants one way of finding things and wants it all laid out so that the site's indexed in a way that makes sense to them. Eric, I think we need some feedback at this point. Are these what you think the priorities should be? Do you have any comments on what's missing or what doesn't seem to belong in that list? And we have a timeline so you can see what we're looking at and when things will happen.
So I talked earlier just about kind of the schedule. Just so you'll understand what the Nerdery's work schedule is, can you come down a little bit more? So then, I don't know if we can still keep the months up there, but...
1 second, just give me 1 second and I'll get it.
Okay.
I need to freeze the paint. I saw things underneath. Okay.
All right. So, in January, right now, the first step of what the Nerdery is doing is what they're doing is a code review. So they're kind of doing they got into the back end of our site and they're totally looking at how we've structured it. They're supposed to give us a report today, actually, is when their due date is, on their analysis of our site and what, from a programming point of view, needs to take place with the site. Once they finish that part, then they're going to go into this process of what they call user experience discovery and wireframes. And that really goes to the heart of what Stephanie's just been talking about. What is it we want to do with this site so that they can really understand it? They're going to be going through our RFP in more detail, having dialogue with us about that. They're going to go through the notes that we sent them from Michelle's conversations with the libraries, from our focus groups, and from our Content Advisory Committee. And they're going to have dialogue with us about that. There's a good chance that we may ask them to have phone calls with the partner libraries as well, just so that they get it directly from you about what you're looking for from the site. And then from that investigative work, they're going to develop what are called the wireframes for the new site. In other words, these are kind of the roadmap of what each page looks like and what needs to happen. It's not the design in terms of how it's look and feel, but it's the functionality. It lays out the functionality. So they'll return to us by early March the wireframes. We're working with a local design group, ASIO Design, to actually do the aesthetic part of the site. Because we want to be able to have a much closer relationship, and it's also less expensive, to be able to do the look and feel of the site. ASIO will develop the design, and then it'll go back to the nerdery, and their programmers will take about 3 months to do the programming to actually create the site based on their wireframes, which are about as a function, and our design. So then by late June, July, we'll be launching the new site for beta testing. So we'll be asking you to look at how it works, test it out, maybe have some of your patrons get a feel for it, so we can do whatever we need to make the changes. And then by August and September, we will launch the new site, and then begin sort of ongoing site management, which we hope will be locally. So that just gives you a little bit of the timeline. 3 basic phases in our relationship with the nerdery. Their code review, which they're completing now. Their user experience, exploration, discovery phase, 2 months, February and March. And then the programming and development of the new site, which is obviously the major part of their work. Any questions about that? In the meantime, though, we're not going to let the site just sit as it is. We are working with ASIO. ASIO does not work in Drupal, which is the main expertise we're getting from the nerdery, which is the software in which, or the programming language in which the site is built. And so ASIO will be giving us just small tweaks that we hope we can do to keep improving the site during that period of time.
We're to the break part of our agenda. Eric, where do you want to go from here? Do you want to do a break and then regroup, or?
Yeah, so I think let's actually wrap up this part of the meeting, and then for those of you who want to get back to your other work, you can do that. For anyone who wants to stay and do kind of a little more of a hands-on exploration, we can do that after, take like a 5-minute break. One of the things I want to do in that hands-on exploration is just give you a little tour of some of the things that we've been adding recently so that you're aware of them, and then maybe deal with your questions about, well, I'd like to add this content, but it's hard, or I can't figure this out, or why doesn't it do this? And we'll deal with some of that. Okay? Any last comments about the first part of what we've been doing?
Could we maybe, after the break, I'm curious about what is on people's minds in general regarding the project, and what are the challenges that folks are seeing, and what are the returns? And partially that's self-serving in the sense that part of what my introductory remarks is that I'm going to do what's called a capstone, which is a version of a thesis for my Master's in Public Administration this summer, on the basis of this project and how it engages with public policy. So I'd like to hear just some generalities of where people are.
You want to do that before we break, just so I don't know if we're going to lose anybody, but anybody got comments?
Do you want to break and do that and come back, or do you want to just do it right now?
Actually, can we just take a 5-minute break?
Okay.
Sorry. Because I really want to listen to that. But
Okay. Sometimes a little brain space helps.
No, there's coffee.
I've got our team to stay or go.
That is our destiny to cover it.
No, the idea was that they would look around and help people at this point, but with the being mercury and everything, I can do that, so I really don't know if he wants to stay or not.
Once we get to the handouts, we can go.
Okay. Fine. But it's not. Yeah. It's working. I feel great. Well, I would show her about the weather change. Is there anything you can do for this?
Where's the interstate location?
There were spots for it. Yeah. Then do we have a handwritten down over the it's one of those.
No place good.
Right. I think there is both sides.
Good.
Not yet.
You have to go back to it.
That'd be good. It was, yeah, it was. Cemetery. I'll just have and the other part that
That's usually how I get into things are really bad. How many times are the word? Because I'm like by overdrive. Everybody else does. Must not be that bad.
although it is frustrating. Yeah. Yeah, that's,
You know,
that happens.
it's
I'm so glad you came today, though. Thank you for doing that. I know.
Well, it's important, I think, honestly, I
Yeah.
can't really laugh
Eric, here's a new account that I ordered today by a author called David Green.
And I was hoping
In the library, it's called Food Government. I don't know what ended up happening,
The content that you made, and it was ever.
Sure, I know the government gets,
And then how we get photos.
One of my contacts is called,
Yeah, we're back
It's clear,
here.
you can see it, but the
Sure, we just
pictures
love
are
like
there.
what we do.
And that's what it is.
Yeah.
I know one in particular, everybody all.
I did it.
Unless you want to have every restroom.
No.
I gather information, but the question of.
Yeah, let me go grab you one later.
Credibility
I could be that in.
is unknown. So he talked about administrative
I was just going to take some page to see if it came up.
You know, seeing my very
See, I did, but I saw
as a
the-
pretty credible source,
So-
being redefined.
This is new.
It's city area.
Oh, it's still
Unless it's
different.
hidden below there.
Credible sources. So.
Well, the others have those same words. If I put it in quotation marks?
Exactly.
No, it's not.
Or being out, yeah, that credible language of being out. But anyway,
And I noticed when we got
it's all about how networking is
The truth
for gathering.
Maybe true due to where it ended up being typed.
Yeah, this one, I thought, well, no, I think it's a manual Lutheran church. This one was huge. So thank you for fixing it.
Sure, but I like that there's a visual in there with the picture. I just wish that the form had it in a different spot. You get one right in with the text above. But that's an issue about how the content displays rather than anything we could fix at the school.
Oh, I see, because you may look at it, but it's not even.
Thanks too much. There's room right over here, folks. But, you know, it just doesn't display that way.
It will eventually.
Yeah, maybe just need to tweak that.
Yeah.
Work on, have the nerdery work on it.
All right, well, good thing we put that one out there.
No, I thought about that for you, because you're right.
Things that go on except for potlucks.
Yeah.
Like drives.
Your computer died on you?
Yeah, won't go past the I agree screen. And that wasn't up yesterday, was it?
Oh, I bet they're doing the wireless.
Yeah, they're doing the wireless drive and that machine got,
Yeah, I got it though.
yeah,
I mean, but that's the first time I've ever had that
Wow.
screen.
yeah.
I can just see, I'm sorry, throttled, it makes me see what's his name with these
Yep.
red lines. Working on it with Michael.
I didn't understand the part on that I sign screen where it said, I will contribute immediately to the Credit Chapman Retirement Fund.
There's not.
Was that where the donate now is?
Yeah.
Council, do they
I have
do
13
parking
years of
issues and things like
We're all
that?
working on this as a community.
Parking?
Well, yeah, let's go with probably abandoned vehicles.
Yeah.
Or dogs.
I think one thing you could do is weekly check their agenda. Do they meet weekly? Check it, and do they post their agenda online? They do. Check it and look for the issues, and then cross-check the media and see if they're covering those stories.
So they have an issue with dogs and they have the dog ordinance. I should find them, have that in one place like this. They were going through the septic ordinance and you got septic rules. I don't know what you're saying.
That's not something the city council will do. They won't educate on it, push that issue.
About what,
And what they'll do is rely on you to do it after they find out that you're doing
But it gives you a
that,
reason to
taking
call
that
them.
role. They'll view you as, oh, she's disseminating public information. They'll be thankful that you're getting the issues out there.
And it's our job
So,
to
yeah.
get that information out. So
And then when
so that's
you make
something I
a,
can grab onto, lean what they're doing and add on things that I'm doing.
yeah, can I give you an example? Like the septic is an example that
So why don't we, I know Stephanie's shown something, but maybe we can.
We can do that.
start-
Yeah.
okay.
With, I don't know, does anyone have any thoughts? Brett, I think what you're kind of looking for is some global concepts right now about, how are you feeling about the project? What do you think its usefulness is to the community at this point? And,
What are the hurdles
what are the hurdles?
in your life? Hurdles for me, I'll just start speaking up here.
Yeah.
Or just that, there's just so much. And quite honestly, and I was just talking about how I kind of put this whole thing on the shelf during the holiday season. And now I really got to get back into the swing of things and get items put on there. And then like the blog, sometimes I get stuck on what to put on there for a blog entry. We're not a, too terribly much a controversial or happening kind of community. But hearing that septic example, that gave me some ideas. And she was just saying, giving me ways to create the environment to put information on there. And that's just, I got to get back into the swing of it.
So
think that way.
what makes this the same and what makes it different from the work that you already do as a librarian?
Well, it's same, I guess we're and to steal some words, pushing information out. And I think really too, we have to be a 24-hour informational kind of place. That's what people want. And unfortunately, my library is not. Our website is really bad. But I don't have the capabilities to make that better. So this is a way I can get it out there. And so I really do want to latch onto this and utilize it to my advantage we're a business. I got to keep my business alive. And this I see as one way to keep my business alive. And so I really appreciate you guys spearheading.
And by the same token, how is it like a librarian? How I view it is, previously, we've been asked for information and then to go find it. Now, we have to have it in the spot. We've got to be responsible for putting it there. Because if we don't glean it from our sources, the paper, the TV station, it's not going to get there. So that's why I think it takes more time, because we have to be the aggressive ones. We're writing the book, so to speak.
We have to be a little proactive and kind of guess what they might need. And by looking maybe at the city council minutes and what are they going to be asking for? And then creating that so, the library always has that information. Let's go there. That's what I want in people's minds. And that's what we do with this.
So what is the difference, do you think, say, 5 years ago, in the way that people engaged, in particular with their governance, what were the resources? And now what's made this of value? In particular to government.
In particular to government, didn't we used to have government records and all the city minutes were on our shelves in paper form? The minutes came over here and then it changed to DVD form. And now people are so used to looking things up on the internet, they want it to be there. I mean, didn't we have?
Yeah, we did. I'm not sure how much they were used. One of the things that I think, if I was to think about it, is when the blogs started on the newspaper, that to me was a pivotal turning point as to how people engaged with public policy issues, because there was enough unknown in those blog posts that to a certain degree it became more important to know. I think the blogging is, if I was to say, what is it that switched more than just the format, what became more of an engagement? I think blogging is what stepped up the game for information resources. What else? I mean, how did people engage with government on the issues prior to blogging? The newspaper was probably the primary source, I would guess.
And of course the news. Yeah.
And the news.
And of course those are, I don't know, somewhat slanted. I mean, they try to be fair, I'm sure, but it's somewhat slanted.
Maybe not.
So.
And what you got is what you got. You know, there was no complaining or demand for anything else. They could give you what.
But there was no place for people to go to say, what do others think about this, unless they attended a council meeting. There wasn't an aggregated sort of,
Even our 2 cents within our paper.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look what that generates. Before, if you went to letters to the editor, there were guidelines of what got in and what didn't.
That's a
And if
good
you didn't
point.
want to sign or not sign, if you didn't sign, it didn't get in there. And now our 2 cents is like, make the pot shots that you want, and it can go in there.
And it used to be too, it was just our small friends. You know, now it's like we're getting input and feedback from people that maybe are in our community that we don't know. And that's the social media component. Or, commenting on a blog. So it's like before it was just like you read the newspaper, you saw the news, then you got together and had coffee with your friends. Now we're getting input, on what's happening from other sources, people in our community, and we're making those connections. I think so blogging and social media has really enhanced how that information is shared.
And like Sturgis has a Sturgis Buzz Facebook page.
Yeah.
And nobody knows who's running it, but you have people from all over the country commenting on the trademark issues and that sort of thing. Because they're coming to the rally. And they comment on all this stuff.
And nobody knows who's running
Yeah,
it?
that's intriguing. We tried to figure out.
Really?
There's people on Sturgis Buzz that are posting comments about who they think is running it.
It's probably Joan Hens.
And with
That's even more intriguing.
yeah, and here's the whole SMRI thing, they're thinking it's somebody on that board. And they do sometimes take posts off, which upsets people. It's fascinating to read. It's
Yeah.
fascinating to read.
But before that wasn't happening. So 5 years ago, Greta, those kind of conversations were not happening
Yeah.
unless you knew
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Now, it's
Yeah.
social media has completely opened that up.
So to a certain degree, as libraries and librarians, because the conversation has most definitely changed through the networks that people have, that's where the source of information becomes, and the value of it becomes more of an indicator than we would have realized.
So then why exclude a blog from this site? Why not have it a buzz? Black Hills Knowledge Network buzz page, so that it brings people to this page to get in and comment, but then you can also use this site to go look up information.
We do want to link to the blogs. Especially sort of steady, abiding blogs. So for example, under the Rapid City, we have that under media and information. So So we list all of the traditional media outlets in Rapid City, and then we've got a couple of different blogs for Rapid City that are there, and I think Sturgis, you should put Sturgis Buzz there. It's just an external link, though. We're not bringing
Right.
it inside.
And I would just to be aware, the Knowledge Network is objective. These blogs are very subjective.
Yeah.
So there is a fine line, but that's a great idea, just to be linking out there and to be talking about the Knowledge Network on those individual sites and on the page, just to let people know it's there, to push them back.
Come look for us,
Yeah.
blog, if
Yeah.
we're not in that blog.
Exactly.
Do we have a place on the agenda, and this, maybe not at this meeting, but certainly at the next one, because I brought it up at the management meeting, that we really need to strategize on how the delivery, how the connections, and obviously that's
Yeah,
Michelle's role.
and
but-
that's, yeah.
And perhaps, I don't know what the arrangement is, but it would seem to me through these conversations that just like statistics are driving direction, we need to have the marketing. That's an excellent idea for us to post into other people's blogs, this resource. We've been thinking, I think I've been thinking more on an individual basis to deliver who needs to have this information. And that's a really good
We need to be thinking
observation.
about it, yeah.
Well, if it goes out on blogs,
More than individuals.
then they're gonna come, the people who want it that are on that blog can come to us, rather than us trying to market it to somebody. They're
Right.
coming, now they're
We
coming
have
to us.
to
If you
go-
want some
yes.
facts, come
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, we have to go where the people are. That's exactly it. And they're out there. So they may not ever come to us
Right.
because that's just not what they do. But they may be somewhere else. So as we're commenting and making, different types of things and sharing this, factual, objective information that we have to share, then we can push them back to the site. I think that's right on. So-
I think though what Leanna was referring to is on the journal site, correct me if I'm wrong, but on the journal site, one of the funnest things about that darn site is that you get to read the comments from what other people said. And I mean, some of them are just inane, but those are the funnest ones. And then you put your own message in and go back later and see how others respond. It's that interactivity. And I don't know, to add pieces of that to our site, one of the things we're thinking about or want to do is have